Hello and welcome to our program Where God Weeps. Today we are considering the situation of Catholics on the island of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka lies off the southern tip of India and has been called by many the tear of India. Indeed, it has seen its share of suffering, from a civil war that has lasted more than 20 years to the tsunami recently, which took 40,000 of its inhabitants. To tell us more about the situation of Catholics on the island of Sri Lanka, it is my privilege and my pleasure to welcome Bishop Thomas Savundaranayagam. Bishop Thomas, thank you for being with us here today. It's extraordinary. The people must be completely crushed. First of all, the human misery of a war that took so many lives, and now a natural drama which has again taken so many lives. The people must be crying out to God in their abandonment. What is the feeling of Catholics presently on the island of Sri Lanka?
I would like to tell you something about the island of Sri Lanka, which is called the Pearl of the Indian Ocean. And this island, the majority of the people are Buddhist. 70% of the people are Buddhist. And the Catholics form 7% of this population. The next major religion in this island are Hindus. They form roughly about 18% of the population. And for the last 20 years, civil war is being fought there between the government, which has a majority, and a minority group who are called the Tamil-speaking people, who are asking for autonomy. These 20 years has brought in a lot of suffering and misery to these people. They have been more than 5 or 6 times displaced in their own land, and nearly 75,000 people have been killed in this war, and 20,000 soldiers have died, and another 20,000 militants have lost their lives, and many people have lost their limbs owing to these mines and bombing, etc. Therefore, we wanted peace, but peace is very elusive. In 2001, ceasefire was announced through the mediation of the foreign missions as well as the government. But the last 3 years, the ceasefire also has not brought in a final solution to the problem. Therefore, the agony of the people continues. And the church, which is present also among the minorities, they are caught up in this misery. And they also suffer. And they also displaced. And in this displacement, we undergo many hardships. In one of these displacements, I was with the people, and one day we were celebrating the Eucharist. And when we were celebrating the Eucharist, suddenly the bomber planes appeared in the sky, and they were going round and round and flying low, and we knew they were going to bomb us. We didn't know what to do. It was an open space. The people and myself, we raised our hands to the skies, and we prayed to God to save us from this peril. And we were all in tears. Then the bomber suddenly turned its course and returned in a different route. We were all celebrated the Mass with joy in our hearts and thanksgiving to God for having saved us from this danger. Similarly, in so many other occasions also, it is the Eucharist that gave us the strength to carry on our Christian life. And not only to live our life also, but not to have revenge in our hearts, but to work for unity, work for peace, work for harmony.
Why is it that after 20 years of civil war, a peace agreement in 2001, what is still provoking this animosity, which brings, as you mentioned, the concern that the war might come back?
Because the warring factions, though they came to a ceasefire, they had not progressed in finding a solution. The negotiations have stopped. Though the Norwegian government offered to help, but the government and the minority groups, they have not overcome their differences, and they are not ready to come and sit down and carry on the peace talk. Especially the government is not ready, and the government is weak, and we are going to have another election for the president. So the president election is just in the offing, and they are busy with those things and not finding a lasting solution to this problem, which is going on for the last 23 years or more.
Now, as I understand, the problem was introduced with the introduction of the Sinhalese language as the dominant language on the island. Is this the only consideration, or what other considerations are causing this conflict?
You are right in saying that the language was one of the chief reasons for this claiming autonomy by the minority. But there are also other reasons, because through a democratic process, slowly they passed legislation and made the minority second-class citizens in Sri Lanka. They found that their rights are being eroded into, that there is mass occupation of their own traditional lands, and more they are kept out of the government. Therefore, the minority felt that they had to take up to arms and fight for their claim. So that is how this war with the majority government and the militants have been going on in Sri Lanka.
Now, you mentioned that the church is also being torn in two by this conflict. How is this?
Because the church which is in the north and the east, we are also Tamil-speaking people. Therefore, we are identified with the minorities. The majority, they are in the south, and they are Buddhist, and they speak the Sinhala language. And the Catholics who are in the south, they speak the Sinhala language. So the church, though they feel one, the Bishops' Conference, we have been often speaking for peace, to find a just solution to this ethnic problem. But the government has been deaf, and because of this dissension, there is also a lot of suffering.
Do you find tension even between the priests of the south and the north, or are the priests able to take a distance and see over the problem for the greater good?
No, in the church there is justice, and in the church we are united, and there is, I won't say great difference in the church between the Sinhalese and the Tamils, but maybe on the superficial level, yes. But on a deeper level, we are in agreement that the government should do justice to the minorities, and they should have their language, they should have every equal opportunities to be equal citizens in Sri Lanka.
What action can the church, and has the church taken practically with regard to reconciliation between the groups?
First, I must say that the church is a minority. We only 7% of the total population. Therefore, our sphere of influence is limited. Nevertheless, we are also very articulate in our views, and we are heard.
And highly respected.
Respected also among the others, among the non-Christians. Therefore, it is known that we are all for peace. And we have been lobbying with the government, the ministers, the presidents. Number of times we have met them together in our Bishop Conference, and we have told them that the peace is number one that is needed the country, needed the hour. And also, we have a peace building program that is going to all the villages and all that. Especially the Caritas is involved in that, and we call this peace building program, by which we bring in harmony and unity among the people so that we can understand each other and accept each other. So this way we can build peace in our land.
The tsunami is 1 year ago that this giant wave struck and destroyed many of the coastal communities on Sri Lanka. Was that something that unified the people not only in their misery but also in their efforts to try and help each other? Did nature somehow work towards reconciliation in this regard?
Yes, the tsunami which took place on the 26th of December last year has been a great natural disaster for our island, because 40,000 people have died in this disaster, and also it struck most of the eastern parts of the island. And my diocese, as well as the eastern diocese of Batticaloa-Trinco, they have also been badly affected. So also the southern diocese of Gaul. In my diocese alone, nearly 5,000 people lost their lives, and nearly 65 kilometers of the coastal belt has been washed off. So many of the people who are living, they suffered very much during this tsunami, and especially our churches, our mission houses, our schools, all have been washed away, and the people underwent terrible suffering. And especially in our church, most of them are Catholics, the fishermen living along this coastal area. Therefore, the suffering is felt very much by us. And in this disaster, a lot of children and women died. They are the future, so we have lost them. Nearly 5,000 people died in this disaster. So this disaster did bring unity among the warring people. Well, in a human level, yes. As soon as this happened, whether north or south, everyone rushed to help the suffering people, the man in need. Therefore, voluntary help was immediately brought and given, people to people. They gave medicine, clothes, food. They were brought by lorries, all that, and distributed. So that way, the tsunami united the people of the north, east, the south. But nevertheless, the government didn't make use of this opportunity to come to a settlement, make use of this tsunami and the sufferings of the people, so that brick building could be affected. They were indifferent.
Were you on the island when it happened?
Yes, I was in my own bishop's house, but in my diocese, it happened on the eastern side. On the western side, nothing happened, though I am very close to the sea, just half a mile from the sea. But in the western side, the tsunami didn't affect. Only the eastern coast was affected. But immediately I was informed, and we rushed to the spot, and we were able to see the suffering and organize immediate relief to the people.
What was your first impression?
My impression was staggering, because I saw entire villages wiped out, and huge churches which had been standing there for so many years razed to the ground, and nothing was there. And in this incident, I must also say the hand of God also was there to give, on one side, assistance to the people. In a place called Mullathievu, the parish priest had announced, this Sunday, Mass will be not in the church, will be half a kilometer away from the church, in open space, where a little shrine had been put up. So the people grudgingly went to this place instead of their church, which is by the side of the sea. More than 1,500 people were worshipping there during this tsunami. And the tsunami came, and at that time, those people who were worshipping here in this open field, they were saved. Others who had homes, they were simply succumbed to the mighty waves.
What's the next step for the church as a consequence of the tsunami? What is the building efforts that are going on now?
In 3 stages, we organized the relief work. The first was immediate relief to the people by clothes, medicine. There are no clothes. Everything was washed away. So we had to find clothes for them, then food, then medicines, then also some place for them to live, tents and things like that, or schools which were nearby. They were all housed there. That is the first stage. The second stage was to take them near their village and put temporary shelters. So more than 5,000 temporary shelters were erected in my own diocese alone by different NGOs. And we put up nearly 5,000 shelters which are temporary shelters, but near their own village, so that people will have some sort of tranquility. They could go and stay there, because one of the biggest catastrophe in this tsunami was suddenly the tsunami took place without any notice, without any information, prior information. Therefore, the people were shocked. They underwent a big trauma. So we had to get these people out of this trauma. They would not eat, they would not sleep. They were whole time crying and thinking of these things. So in order to have the healing process, we took them near their village and put up temporary shelters, and they are there in that process. The third stage is now to erect permanent houses for them, but not near the beach, away from the beach, so that if another tsunami comes, they would be at least find themselves in a safer place. Therefore, that work is little slow, because we have to find the land, then of course find the material to put up the buildings, and building a house takes time. But work is also going on. At the same time also, we have to overcome their sufferings by counseling, because I told they are undergoing a trauma. Therefore, our priests and nuns and those trained counselors, they go and meet them, and periodically they are helping them so that they can rehabilitate themselves and come back to normal life.
Is the fear still there, so strong that they are not ready to go back to the coastline, or how is the psychology of the people at the moment?
Some of them, yes, they are having undergone this terrible suffering. They are afraid of the sea. They don't want to look at the sea.
Although actually the sea is what gives them life.
It's the life, you see. But men, especially the men, because they are the providers, therefore they had to work. So they want to go back to the sea. They are asking for boats and nets, because everything was washed away. And their boats and nets, everything was carried away inland and smashed and all those things. So this is also part of our work, trying to provide them the livelihood program, so that boats and nets and all that craft for these available, they can restart their life and become independent.
What is your greatest frustration?
Well, the frustration is, of course, things don't move as you want it. Slow. Speed is rather slow, because there are also bureaucracy and red tapes, etc. have to be overcome. Then the people also, expectation is too much. We can't satisfy all the expectations of the people. But slowly we are overcoming it, and I'm sure in a short time they would be on their feet.
We heard about the miracle of Matara, of the lady, the statue of Our Lady that was found. Do you also have similar stories of similar miracles of relating to the church in this way?
What I have seen is, those churches are broken, so the statues are standing there, wherever they were. And also in a place, I saw in a church, the statue has floated, and it was found in a corner, especially the sepulchral statue of a crucified Lord had been removed from the box. It was there, and was carried by the sea all over, and then deposited near the church.
Human stories. How are there stories also of beauty, or of hero, or of actions of heroism, of revealing the goodness of human nature that have also come out from this terrible event?
Yes, there are many stories. One story regarding a priest, I would tell. He was with the people having Mass. Mass was over, and they were chatting with the people. Suddenly the wave, he said, run. People all ran. He stayed behind, and he was also caught up in this wave, and he almost got locked in a room, and he was with 2-3 people, and they were all climbing to the roof, but in a room they can't get out of that. Then they were praying, God save us, God save us. Jesus, you calmed the storm. please save us. And they were clinging to the beams of the roof. Then they saw a child coming there, carried by the wave, going round and round. This priest caught the child and also lifted it and kept with him. Then, of course, with the other hand, he was hanging on to the roof. He was praying, praying. Then the water subsided, it was going down, down. Then he slowly climbed down to the window, holding the window. Then that child was saved. Then I saw the parents of this child. They are very grateful. They thank God and thank the father for he saved their daughter.
There must be incredible and extraordinary situation of orphans now in Sri Lanka. How can the church help with regard to these extraordinary amount of orphans? What is the church trying to do in this way?
Church in many places, they have their orphanages. And the government has suddenly made a rule, you can't open new orphanages.
Why not?
Because they said there will be some trafficking in these and all that. Therefore, we can't open new orphanages, but what we are doing is enlarging our already existing orphanages and admitting more children into them. So in my own diocese, I have been doing that. Nearly 250 children have been admitted after the tsunami into these orphanages so that they can be looked after. And I won't say they are all real sense they are orphans. They may have one parent or other, or they may be destitute or like that, and they have lost everything. But they are being taken care of with the help of so many other NGOs and all that you are helping us also.
We've also read in the papers about this question of child trafficking, which you alluded to. What is the problem and how has this come about?
Well, some people, they want to have children and they make use of the situation to grab these children, And also, if the government or others, they give any help to get that help, and they also want to profit from that one. So the various motives are there.
The children would then be taken and then sold somewhere else?
It is also the possibilities there, that also. So seeing to all that, the government has said no more new orphanages, and all the people who enter orphanage has to be registered.
What would be your appeal to the international community?
The international community should be aware of what has taken place in Sri Lanka. One is the tsunami, other one is the war, which is not over. Still, the fear is there. Therefore, in this, the people are suffering very much. The tsunami people, they have lost their houses, all their belongings, their livelihoods, and they are almost destitute. So these people have to be uplifted. They need material help. They need houses. They need boards and nets. They need also for their children, for their schooling, help for their schooling. So the international community can be aware and stretch their hands to assist them in this work. Moreover, the people who have been affected by the almost 23 years of this war, they too have no houses, because in the war many places were bombed and they lost their houses. They need to have a dwelling, and also their lives have been also disturbed. Therefore, they must return to normal life. Therefore, we appeal to the international community to be aware of the needs of these people, to alleviate their sufferings.
What is your hope for Sri Lanka?
There are hopes also, because first, everybody wants peace. Everybody is talking about peace. But the only thing, we don't know how to achieve this peace. And we don't have the humility to accept each other and be without this war, live in peace. So, since everybody wants peace, the government wants peace, the militants want peace, the soldiers want peace, all the religious people, they want peace. Therefore, that is some hope there. And also the international community also aware of this, and how if peace returns to this beautiful island of Sri Lanka, how once again it can flourish, how people can live in peace and harmony.
how important is the help from the universal church?
It is very, very important, and also very happy the international church has been aware of the sufferings in Sri Lanka, and especially during the tsunami. They were the first to come to our help. The church in need, then the Kinder Mission. These two people immediately sent me relief, help, to help the people, assist the people in their immediate needs. Then afterwards, they have also sent me help to build churches, to build kindergartens, and also to provide what is necessary for their livelihood. Therefore, I am very grateful to these our international church association like the Church in Need, the Kinder Mission, etc., for their great concern for the church in Jaffna.
Bishop Thomas, thank you for having been with us today, and thank you for sharing your experiences. And we continue to pray for the people of Sri Lanka in the hopes that little by little the island may rebuild in peace. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us today on our program. If you'd like to know more about how you can help the Catholic Church on the island of Sri Lanka, I encourage you to consider the contact information at the end of this program. And I look forward to seeing you next time on Where God Weeps.